Hello everyone, I'm Jan David Sutar. Please hit that like and subscribe. And this is a director's commentary for my 2019 PSA short film on the Bechdel test, which was really challenging because we had 60 seconds to get it all done. Totally had to do it live. There was no retakes. It was all the way through like you were doing a live television PSA. So without further ado, I'm going to watch the video and break it down as things come up. Whew. I always get a little nervous right before I watch it. So this is at LACC. This is actually at the green screen wall at the Dick Clark TV studios at Los Angeles City College, which I know very, very well. We have here Sharon Acosta, who was one of my classmates, and we also have a couple other LACC folks that I know. So keep in mind that all of this is happening live in 60 seconds. It's all happening in real time, in succession. Somebody's got to be there pushing a button to go from one thing to the next. Such an intricate thing. It requires so much choreography too. Doing something live, there's just nothing like it. It is its own kind of theater. So the camera pushes in. Sharon does such a good job here.
What is the Bechdel test?
So this is flipping over. Now you see where it says the Bechdel test? That's what's known as an over-the-shoulder graphic. Now we're going to go to the pre-recorded segment that we shot a couple of days before this. So this is great. This is my wife, Megan Rippey, who is the redhead here, working opposite Danielle Henderson, who was also LACC alum. They're in their black blazers. I thought it was really, really fitting to kind of go to that 90s, you know, lesbian black blazer. I thought it was really funny as an example of the Bechdel test, just all the little semiotics in there. And that's a really important thing too, is semiotics, is what is your frame communicating? We'll talk about semiotics probably in a later video because I've got a lot of feelings on it. Danielle Henderson and Megan are walking down. I've got my iPhone. I'm moving backwards to capture them so that it's just a fluid kind of take. They don't have to walk in the frame. I can keep them right in the same space and just move backwards myself. That was really the game plan. I love this handshake. The handshake is great. It just really completes the whole thing, and it's a really fun little handshake that we made up right there on the spot. Here where it says not like this, again, that's a graphic that pops up. And so now we've got the flip side where the blazers are gone. They're in skimpier kind of tops that kind of show off their shoulders, a little bit more of their body. And so it's automatically, we already identify that the rules of the world have changed. And then on top of that with the dialogue, where it's no longer about Madam President, but now about Matt from accounting, the hot one. The guy coming up here is one of my other classmates. He was so down to do it. Threw my arm around my wife and he was like, what's going on? Now we are back live to the PSA. Sharon is now telling camera more about how we can do better. So there's a slight mistake here. It's multicam, right? So you've got a 1 and a 2. So she comes up and she's facing the wrong camera. So that was a mistake. So we quickly cut to camera 2 to capture her here speaking directly to camera with the other 2 women right beside and behind her. You know, that was a mistake that we made on the day where she looked at the wrong camera and we were supposed to go from 1 and then turn to go to 2. Didn't work out that way, but again, learned a lot. And it's these little imperfections and these little mistakes that really just teach you all about what it means to do something live. Awesome. Great smile, happy writing, looked great, amazing to see, really, really so fun. It's really dumb, and I kind of have a deep love for really dumb things. Yeah, so cool. I can't believe I made that thing. Wild. All right, so that was the Bechdel test, my first TV PSA that was all live, recorded all in one set. You know, props to Jen Vaughn at Los Angeles City College, Professor Jen Vaughn, who was the professor of that great class. Why did this come about? So the Bechdel test, it's actually technically the Bechdel-Wallace test, was a test that I learned about a long time ago, and I found the whole thing kind of hilarious. It's meant as a joke. It's not even a real test. The Bechdel test, for anyone unfamiliar, asks 3 basic questions. Are there at least 2 named women who talk to each other about something other than a man? Those 3 things. 2 named women who talk to each other something other than a man. That's it. Right? And so the bar is incredibly low, and yet culturally we struggle to clear it consistently. And so I, being cute, thought it'd be really, really fun to to make a PSA and, like a semi-satirical PSA about the Bechdel-Wallace test. So I figured instead of lecturing, I decided to stage it as like a meta sketch. You can blame me for feminism. And this was a class assignment, but I didn't want to just explain what the Bechdel test was. I wanted to dramatize it, how absurd something so minimal is still failed by so many films. But there's kind of funny whenever you learn about it, what films do pass. So if you're a filmmaker, I'd encourage you to look at your own scripts, not to force representation mechanically, but to really ask what assumptions are baked into the structure of your story. Because often the problem isn't necessarily dialogue, it's architecture. We had to do it live in 60 seconds, really 53. So how do you communicate a systemic issue in under a minute? One of the key directing choices here was blocking. So blocking is the ideology in physical form. Who stands where, who's in the center of the frame, who interrupts whom, all of that communicates hierarchy before dialogue even begins. So I directed these performances to feel slightly heightened, but, straight to camera. Not quite a sketch comedy rhythm, but close enough to it. The turning point, that's the moment where you actually get to see the Bechdel test unfold in both a positive way and a negative way. So wanted that to function as a punchline in a way. I always found that like a little bit of humor can go a long way, more powerful than being told this is how you should think about this, but so that you can laugh at it. You got to be careful there. If you push too hard, it becomes parody. You play it too straight, it becomes preachy. So the tone tries to really sit in that interesting middle space of a PSA. And so it wasn't about flashy cinematography. The camera stays relatively simple, clean coverage, one takes. The camera does move backwards with them and tracks with them, but really trying to do clean, controlled framing. And so when you're making a PSA, especially live in TV, clarity really matters more than the aesthetic brush. The form had to stay disciplined so the concept could do the work. Even as a director, even when you're not trying to be political, you are. We talked about this in a previous director's commentary I had for Born a Snake. Casting is political. Blocking can be political. The story you choose to center can be political. Even though this was a small live PSA, the real big question that it was asking is, who gets narrative priority? And we did all kinds of fun stuff, all kinds of over-the-shoulder graphics and things like that. Had the pleasure of working with some fantastic colleagues at Los Angeles City College. And so we wrote this over a 2.5-week period and then did 3 takes, shot it all in one day. So it was really a fun time. If I were to remake this today, I would probably push the blocking even further, making the spatial imbalance even more pronounced. Learned a lot, especially about live television, multicam live television. It really kind of painted a picture of what it takes just to make 1 minute of it functional. Feel very, very lucky to have had that experience. I have so much love for Los Angeles City College. They really did a lot of great things for me. So if you have thoughts about this, drop them below. And if you'd like to see a deeper breakdown of blocking or directing for short form PSA style pieces, let me know. I would love to hear also what your thoughts are on the Bechdel test or in equality and equity in film, especially whenever it comes to dialogue and character representation. These things are really, really important. We would love to hear more about your work and how you approach blocking. So please hit the like and the subscribe. Thank you so much. See you soon.